There was a laboratory study published in the New England Journal of Medicine just recently, over the last few days, and it found that the COVID-19 vaccine that was developed by Pfizer and BioNTech neutralized the fast-spreading coronavirus variant that was discovered in Brazil. Pfizer, along with Moderna and Novavax, are either already testing or plan to soon test versions of their vaccines that target some of these new variants. Brian, which of these stocks do you think might be the best pick if these coronavirus variants become an even bigger issue in the future?
Yeah, it's really hard to know how much to read into these laboratory tests. They take antibodies out of people and see whether they can block the variants, and that works well. Except there's two issues, right? There's can the antibodies bind to the virus and block its infection into cells, and there's also is the variant stronger than the original coronavirus, and can that cause it to replicate faster, and the antibodies not catch up? And I don't think the laboratory tests are really measuring that aspect of it. Who can make a new vaccine quicker? Well, I'd say the leaders right now. So the mRNA based vaccines of Pfizer and BioNTech and then Moderna. I think those are going to be the easiest. They're going to be the quickest to develop a second boosters that are specific to variants. Novavax with its protein, they're sort of fairly quick behind. They use a protein based, but I think that they can probably adapt it fairly quickly. I think part of the reason why Novavax is farther behind is because they got held up on manufacturing, and I don't think it wasn't issues with manufacturing. It was actually like capacity of manufacturing. They just couldn't find somebody to make enough of their drug for the clinical trial, and so I think that's the reason why they were a little bit further behind. I think the adenovirus based vaccines are going to have a much harder time, because I think the boosters are going to not work as well, because that will develop antibodies to the adenovirus that delivers the DNA for the coronavirus, and so I think over time the adenovirus vaccines will be less and less useful.
Now, Brian, this is going to be pure speculation here, but do you think that because of these variants, and not just the ones that are on the scene right now, but others that could emerge in the future, do you think that because of these variants, we're likely to be in a situation where we're needing booster shots on an annual basis for COVID-19?
It seems like it's probably pretty likely. I guess it sort of depends on how much antibodies we end up making and how quickly they wane. There's also some data that sort of suggests that T cells might be important for long-term immunity against coronaviruses, and so we don't know what these vaccines will do for the long term. So I think it's probably likely, although it's hard to tell at this point.
Right. And my guess would be that even if that is the case, you wouldn't necessarily have to get 2 booster shots each year. For example, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines right now require 2 shots. Do you think it's possible that on an annual basis, if that's what indeed happens, that we would just need 1 booster shot?
Yeah, and I think you'll probably get it combined with your flu shot, so you'll get the same number of shots that you've been getting. And I think the other thing is as we build up our antibodies, even the variants might not cause as much of a sickness in people who don't get their booster. So you'll get a lot of people who just like they don't get the flu shot, don't get the booster shot, and then they end up getting the flu, or they're going to get the coronavirus, and it'll be sort of mild cold like symptoms versus in the hospital can't breathe symptoms.
Yeah. And part of the uncertainty is why it's kind of difficult to value some of these COVID-19 vaccine stocks, because we don't know for sure how much revenue they're going to be able to count on from their COVID vaccines after 2021. And so I think they're going to all have substantial revenue. The question is just how much.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot fewer people getting boosters, just like there's a lot fewer people getting their annual flu vaccine.